This phylum I'm going to go over in the invertebrates of kingdom Animalia is Phylum Cnidaria. Alright, Cnidaria. Phylum Cnidaria, all the organisms in it experience radial symmetry. So that was kind of the hardest type of symmetry we studied earlier, where an organism can be cut infinite amount of times longitudinally to produce approximate mirror halves of each other, like in sea anemone, which are members of Cnidaria. We will get to that in a second. So they experience radial symmetry. There's two forms that they come in. They come in polyp form, polyp, and they come in medusa form, which is like jellyfish. And polyps are like the anemone you see. Some interesting characteristics you'll find in Cnidaria is that the members only have one digestive hole. They don't have an anus. The anus is combined with the mouth. So they intake food from the mouth and they expel food through the mouth. Same with sperm, same with everything else. We're going to study that in this video. So, two forms. They each only have one mouth. Jellyfish have one mouth. Polyps, like sea anemone, only have one mouth. Okay? Which is kind of weird, but anyway, that's how it is. Let's see. So, let's get into polyps. Polyps include sea anemone or hydra, but for this case, we're going to just look at anemone. So sea anemone, they kind of look like, you know, I don't know. This is what they look like. They have tentacles. They have tentacles which kind of just branch out of the top. And the outer layer of skin is called the epidermis. As usual, this is the epidermis. Okay, so just like with sponges, it has an outer layer of skin cells called the epidermis. You get inside, you'll find another layer, which is the jelly-like mesoglia. So they have mesoglia as well. Excuse me, not mesoglia, mesohyl. We're going to get to mesoglia in a second, but mesohyl. Mesohyl. Alright, so this pink stuff right here is the mesohyl. Now, this is pretty much a sea anemone. I mean, I could draw the mouth here. This is the mouth / anus right here. It's where it intakes food. Now, a very important thing about all members of this phylum are their tentacles, which are indicated by the red little stems branching out from the mouth. These are the tentacles, and they are lined with stinging cells called nematocysts. Nematocysts are used for capturing prey and for defense. So, nematocysts, they're stinging cells. They inject poison into the prey. They paralyze them. When you get stung by like a jellyfish, which we're going to see in a second, it's because of the nematocysts that, and I'll try to draw them, that kind of line the tentacles. They adhere to the tentacles of all members of phylum, of Cnidarians. Just call them Cnidarians. So when they capture their prey, they kind of use these as like their hands, and they just suck it, they just pull it into their mouth with these tentacles. So that's a very key point about Cnidarians, is that they have, all of them have tentacles lined with nematocysts. Alright, let's take a look at jellyfish. We're going to look at the anatomy really quick. So this is a jellyfish here, okay? Jellyfish. And it's going to have tentacles. Alright, so this is a jellyfish. Now, the outer layer, once again, is the epidermis. So, it has an epidermis. That's the epidermis right there. Then, it's got something called the gastrovascular cavity, which this is an approximate. You can go to Google Images. In fact, I have some good pictures of it on the PowerPoint that I was using earlier. This is a good picture of it. We're going to draw our own. This is a gastrovascular cavity right here. This is the gastrovascular cavity right here, okay? And it's bigger than that, but this is approximate. And around it, you've got something called the gastrodermis, which is another layer of cells. It's like a layer of cells. Basically, like the epidermis, just called the gastrodermis. So in pink there, that's the gastrodermis. Now, separating the epidermis and the gastrodermis is a big layer of jelly-like substance called the mesoglia, which is what I accidentally wrote for mesohyl up here earlier, but this is the mesoglia. When you see a jellyfish, this is the mesoglia, this little jelly-like substance. That's what makes a jellyfish stay afloat and look jelly, is because of the mesoglia. Gastrodermis, like I said, the gastrovascular cavity, it's where the food is. This is basically the stomach, okay? This is basically the stomach of a jellyfish. And then its mouth is like here, and its anus, like I said, it expels. Let me pick a good color. This is like the mouth, okay? That's not exactly what it looks like. It looks more like this. But, so its mouth expels wastes and also takes in stuff, and, which we're going to learn in reproduction soon, is that it releases sperm through its gastrovascular cavity or its gut. And again, the tentacles, I stressed a lot with the sea anemone up here. They are lined with what? Nematocysts. They are lined with stinging cells called nematocysts. So when you get stung by a jellyfish, it's all thanks to these nematocysts that sting the cell. Now, you may be wondering why clownfish can abide and make a habitat in sea anemone, and it's because they have like this, they don't know this for sure, but they have like chemical reaction triggers that, like, the chemicals that make up clownfish's skin don't react with the nematocysts, so they don't get stung. They can thrive in them, use them for prey. It's a symbiotic relationship. With jellyfish, humans get stung with them because our skin doesn't have that chemical or whatever it is, so we get stung by jellyfish. All thanks to these stinging cells called nematocysts. So that's the jellyfish. Reproduction. Now, interestingly enough, members can switch forms between polyp and medusa at different stages of their life. But you can you can be born a polyp and then you can go to a medusa, but you can't switch back to a polyp. And what I mean by this is some sea anemone, let's draw another sea anemone, are born. And here's how they're born. Let me draw this so you guys can get exposure to more anemones, and their anatomy. But when a jellyfish goes through reproduction, what happens is it releases sperm out of the gut. So it travels out of the gut, and it goes into another jellyfish's female gut, all right? And then that fertilizes her egg, and I'll draw an egg here. That can be your egg. And then it goes, let's say this is a female jellyfish now. It was once a male because it had sperm, fertilized an egg. And then that egg, or that zygote, travels out, attaches to the tentacles of the jellyfish. Let me kind of make that bolder. So this is the planula. It attaches there until it grows. And when it grows, it attaches itself to an object on the floor of an ocean that's not moving. And it becomes sessile, just like all anemone are. They're sessile. They're anchored to, they can't move. They can move, but they can't, like, crawl. Like, they have, anyway, so it attaches to an anchored object and it grows into an anemone. The anemone then, some species of anemones start producing like these rings that eventually become jellyfish, and then they branch off and become a jellyfish. So they go from polyp form to medusa form. So that is very interesting, that you can go from polyp to medusa form. Now let me see if there's anything else you guys really have to know here about jellyfish. I think we pretty much covered it all. They have nervous, digestive, and muscular systems. Let's see here, Phylum Cnidaria. So we pretty much went over everything. I didn't study the Hydra too much, but if you do study the Hydra, it's basically a jellyfish, a very small jellyfish that looks different, but it has tentacles and it's moving and it's microscopic, stuff like that. It's got its own wacky way of reproduction that I'm not going to get into. But we basically covered all this. So that is the video on Phylum Cnidaria of Kingdom